Well, this regime is a shit show. Keone, what were they thinking?
Thinking? You got to stop accusing this administration about thinking.
The amount of energy that it takes to be a racist is insane.
It's too easy, Stacey. The only thing the internet asks you to be most times is don't be homophobic, don't be sexist, don't be racist. How hard is that?
Apparently they can't handle it.
Stacey, you gotta pull, because I don't know what the hell Trump is doing. Pull a card, because we haven't done that yet. And it's got to be the Fool. It's going to be the Fool. It has to be the Fool.
Oh my God! Who's the psychic now?
Hello all, Stacey the Black Feather Intuitive, and welcome to our Dear Democracy segment. And today it is the Exit Watch edition. Who is packing their desk next? And we've got a fun-filled show for you today to discuss some of the scandals and the shit shows that the Trump regime has gotten itself into and then themselves into. And of course, we're going to choose 5 different people from the cabinet today to talk about. And the first one is one of my personal favorites that I can't believe is still in office. That is Kash Patel. He is the FBI director. And the specific issue that we're dealing with this jackass is that the House Democrats are demanding answers after allegations that more than $1 million in FBI bonus money has been directed towards a small group of FBI agents closely associated with Patel, including members of his advisory and protective teams. Critics are calling it a potential loyalist reward system. And Patel has not publicly, of course, admitted wrongdoing. He never does. So it's kind of like, the slush fund. And he's using to potentially, allegedly, and for entertainment purposes only, to pay off his agents to cover up his drunkenness. To cover up his lack of doing things, to cover up the fact that he is firing all sorts of good people, people who are experts in their field, and trying to clean house in that regard. So this is kind of like, not only do we want to know if he is long for this world, and I don't think so, the political world, I mean, but we kind of, I guess we kind of want to know what is going to happen as a result of this latest scandal. He's facing criticism for publicly discussing sensitive investigations before law enforcement operations have been fully completed, including yet another time a recent drone attack case. Critics argue that this could jeopardize investigations, but really what's actually going on. So I feel like what we kind of want to know today is, of all of these scandals that this guy has been shown up in, because really all he gives a shit about is flying around the globe to rock concerts and, drinking and whatever else with his girlfriend and, supporting her career. I mean, that's basically what the man has been doing. And then screwing up all of the different, FBI related serious emergency cases going on, and maybe some not so emergency, but still equally serious cases that are going on. So, what's going to affect that? And we're going to pull a card here. Interesting. Queen of Wands. So Queen of Wands, it's a very interesting card to get for Patel. Queen of Wands is an entrepreneur type card, entrepreneurial energy. Queen of Wands is the only queen in the tarot that exists without a safety net. So I think that's actually quite fitting for Patel, given our, his situation and circumstances. He's a brown man in this particular regime, which is interesting in itself. And he's not a woman, and he's not a black woman. So he's not the lowest on the totem pole, but, he's pretty low on the totem pole. Once they've, eradicated all the women, I'm sure, he's going to be next on the hit list, right? In terms of following the pattern of this regime and their racism. This Queen of Wands says to me that this particular scandal is just putting him one step closer, giving the regime leader it's like one more nail in the coffin. And this card can tend to indicate an individual who can start to get a little too big for their britches. Not leap without looking, but to leap and to maybe forget a little bit of the compassion part of things and to really be more about themselves. I'm not going to ask for anyone else's help because I'm not going to get it. So I might as well just do it for myself. Or no one's going to do it the right way. So I'm going to just take care of it myself. And, when we get into that space of hubris, it causes all sorts of problems. So I do feel that this is something that is going to add one more nail to his proverbial political coffin here. And from a psychic perspective, what I'm actually feeling is that, I'm drawn to the flame here. I'm drawn to the light here. There's one more burst of something that's going to come up and out around him. I'm feeling in the next couple of weeks, actually, it's going to compound on this particular scandal. He's going to become a little more in the limelight again. And I feel like it won't be very long after that before he's given an exit point, where I feel like he's not going to be fired per se in the public eye. Like it's not going to be said as a firing, but I feel like he's going to be given a choice. And I feel like he's going to use some kind of family situation to try to bow out, as gracefully as possible, which is not going to be very graceful at all. So I definitely feel like he's burned his bridge, and there's one more thing that's coming up on the heels of this $1 million that has gone to basically hush money, paying people off. There's one more thing that's going to come out around that. And I feel like that's going to be it. That's going to be the last straw. Okay, let's talk a little bit about Linda McMahon. She is the director or whatever of education, the Department of Education. And there's a special education shakeup going on right now. She's making the decision to move federal oversight of special education, so kids with special needs. She wants to remove them from the Department of Education and put that under the Department of Health and Human Services as part of a broader effort to shrink the education department. And if you've been following any of this stuff at all, this is also kind of an RFK type situation. This is a one more way to discriminate against yet another marginalized part of the community, which is kids with special needs. People with special needs. If you're not quote unquote normal, and I would say what exactly is normal, but this is how the regime is looking at it. If you're quote unquote not normal, then you're not worthy and deserving of any kind of accommodations required so that you can get an education the same as everyone else. Also, this really smacks to me and smelled to me of RFK Jr.'s bullshit idea that vaccines create all sorts of problems, including ADD, ADHD, autism. He's got a big thing about autism, and special needs and special education. Would definitely cover autistic children. So I feel like this is all about that autism thing, and it's like, okay, we're gonna screw up the educational system as well, and we're gonna hand some stuff over to you, RFK Jr., so that you can make these, people who have special requirements, you can make their life even more of a living hell than what it already is. So Many disability advocates argue that special education is not simply a healthcare issue. Children are students first and patients second. Moving oversight to HHS may change how disability services are viewed and administered. It's also a concern about civil rights. The Department of Education civil rights functions are also being redistributed, creating concerns about enforcement and accountability. And then, of course, the age-old bureaucratic confusion. So, when you're playing Buffalo Shuffle, when you're, shuffling the cups from one to the next, and, which cup has the penny underneath, it's one more smokescreen. It's one more opportunity to just continue to be able to deny people what it is that they need. Just basic human rights human rights needs. So is this shift that they are making, is it actually going to take effect? And if so, if it is going to take effect, is it something that we will be able to undo once we get a new leadership or sooner? So interesting. The first card I'm getting is the Four of Wands, and the Four of Wands is the card of graduation. It's an indication that you're up leveling, you're moving to a new level. So if we're asking the question, is this actually going to go through? What I keep seeing is they are going to move this. They're going to make the shifts that they want to make, and there's going to be such a huge outcry. And I'm seeing two different organizations that, okay, thank you. I see two different organizations that are going to come together. They're going to collaborate. And I feel like they're going to bring up a lawsuit because this goes against civil rights, right? This goes against basic human rights. And I feel that there will be a case that moves forward, and I feel that that case will be successful in courts. Unfortunately, we know that these things don't happen overnight. This court case, is going to take months, if not, maybe a little over a year for things to get resolved. And in the meantime, I feel like what's going to kind of happen with students is there's going to be a lot of displacement. There's also going to be a lot of families needing to keep their kids with special needs home. And that's where a lot of this outrage is going to take place, because parents are going to say, I can't homeschool my special needs child. And you're not, I'm not going to place my special needs child, because a lot of these things that we're talking about aren't like super severe. It's just that they need accommodation. And they're going to try and push all of these, quite frankly, batshit crazy snake oil salesman things onto people with these kinds of conditions, situations. Oh my God, it's just disgusting. So will they be able to undo it? Interesting. Seven of Wands. So yes, they will be able to undo it. This is a card of defense. And I do feel that they will be able to defend this. They will be able to, they as in the people, the organizations that work together to put together a lawsuit. I feel that they will create boundaries, create barriers that it won't stop this shift entirely, but it'll put a halt to a lot of the things. And then it'll make it easier for them to kind of undo in the future what has been done. But it is going to be pretty chaotic. I mean, we're getting Wands energy. Wands energy is fire, flame, fuel, things happening quickly, things burning away. Fire can destroy as well as it can help to create. So I feel like it's going to serve both purposes. So Linda McMahon, what a piece of work. She's not the brightest bulb on the tree, that's for sure. She just does what she's told. But I definitely feel that she and RFK are in cahoots here. She's trying to pass off some things to him so that he can get his agenda fulfilled. Okay, Pete Hegseth. So Pentagon leadership and national security. And so let's just talk about it right now. He's right now a big part of the Iran situation. He continues to face criticism from national security experts and lawmakers who question whether he has the experience necessary for the role. The reports continue to surface regarding tensions between military leadership and political leadership. He's a little man who's trying to use as much power as he can to appear to be a big man. And it's really, I mean, if it wasn't so dangerous, it would be so laughable to see this. And I'm a compassionate soul. I understand that we all have our own journeys and, we're doing the best that we can. This guy, I mean, he doesn't make it easy to have compassion for him. He's a joke. He's just a joke. Every Middle East development, Ukraine decision, China issue, NATO issue, or military deployment now lands on Hegseth's desk. And this Middle East development situation, of course, the war has been solved and the war is over, and the truce has been signed. I don't know, 39 times now. I think Trump has said, this or that or the other thing about, oh, it's resolved, and it's really not resolved. And Pete is like, touting the company line. So I guess the question I would want to know right now is, in terms of Iran in particular and the Iran conflict in particular, how is he being utilized behind the scenes? What do we need to know about his behavior behind the scenes? Interesting. Ace of Cups. He's being seen as someone that can be easily initiated or indoctrinated into a particular approach. I want to say, I feel like Iran is looking at him as though he's a useful idiot, much like they look at Trump as a useful idiot. They can see clearly that, the clown car is in full force, and there is no one in that clown car who has an IQ, above 50, right? And so I feel like Iran and the situation in the Middle East and the surrounding countries that are being affected by all of this as well, I feel are seeing Pete's rhetoric as being helpful to their cause. I feel like something is going to be happening within the next week, possibly within the next 3 days, that is going to be another situation where they, just as an example, they bomb a school, or the last week it was they bombed water treatment plants over there. Like, they keep doing things to poke the bear. And I feel like Pete Hegseth is going to be thrown under the bus about something that is a huge, colossal mistake. And I feel like it's almost like they bomb Iran, but then they bomb like a neighboring ally, not ally to Iran, ally to this situation. And Pete Hegseth gets thrown under the bus in that regard. No amount of ChatGPT speeches will he be able to write to get out of whatever this is. It's quite possible that he might be our winner for this week as the next to go, but we'll have to see what goes on. I will say to you as well, I feel with whatever this is that's coming up in the next few days, I keep hearing like terrorist, like they're being called terrorists. He's going to be featured as a terrorist. And I feel like he's going to have to very likely go underground somewhere for his own safety. So that's going to be kind of interesting. Okay, our next guy is RFK, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. So, he's constantly being scrutinized for his history of vaccine skepticism. It continues to generate intense debate. Many public health officials are questioning whether science or ideology is driving policy decisions. They've recently, we read on the screw worm last week. There's a kissing bug that is coming through right now. We have an Ebola outbreak that is causing a lot of problems right now. And I have been sensing for some time, I thought it was actually going to happen the beginning of this year, but with tarot, timing is often kind of a weird thing. I always say, don't get too hung up on the timing of it. Just listen to the information of it, because our timing and divine timing are often two different things. But I have often felt that there was going to be another pandemic-like situation, not as severe as COVID, but definitely one where, we would be encouraged to stay in again, to stay put, shelter in place, masks, that kind of thing. And I don't know, but I got to tell you, I'm with all of this stuff that's starting to come out and surface. I mean, this is the result of not paying attention, of firing, the CDC and firing all of the governmental agencies that have been put in charge of keeping us safe from all of these things. Like, just because we can eradicate, a bug, for example, from our country doesn't mean that that bug is eradicated in the world. That's not how it works. We still have to be vigilant. And so I see a lot of that energy coming up. So let's ask the question in terms of RFK Jr., and what is transpiring in terms of all of his batshit crazy policies that he's trying to implement. When it comes to these bugs that are coming in, these viruses that are coming in, is he really going to be able to put a stop to proper treatments? Guys, it's a wand day. I swear to you, I have a whole deck here. I am shuffling while I'm talking to you. I am not just, pulling these out, pre-planned. So this is going to be a fiery week. I just got to say that. And we've got the Nine of Wands. He is absolutely going to be stopped. When I see this Nine of Wands energy, I feel like there is someone that's going to, this feels like someone that is bigger than him in the background, not part of the regime, not part of the cabinet member nonsense. This feels like someone kind of connected to maybe like big pharma that doesn't agree with his policies. And, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Oh, I'm feeling a little bit of that energy with this, that someone is going to come in and say, okay, by you making this policy or by you making this shift, by you pretending that these things aren't happening, you're stopping my company from being able to make money. You're stopping my company from its earning potential. And so we're going to squish you like a bug. I almost feel this energy of him being threatened in kind of a mafia type way behind the scenes. And I feel like this is going to, I don't feel that he's going to backtrack publicly about what's going to go on, but I feel like he gets kind of pushed to the side. And, in true Orange Cheeto Head style, dear leader is going to step up and try to take credit for being magnanimous, for, being more level-headed about things, about trying to do the right thing. But I do feel that RFK Jr. is going to be really kind of pushed to the side. Another thing that just popped into my head that I think is important for us to read on is Dr. Oz came out last week, I think it was, and did a press conference on something that, quite frankly, should have come from JFK Jr.'s office, from his department. And I saw right away when that happened, I was like, I bet you Dr. Oz is going to be stepping into JFK Jr.'s role pretty soon. So we're just going to pull a card on that. Yep. We've got the Fool card. We're going to get a new Fool that is going to be heading up the Health and Human Services Department. And I feel like it's going to be Dr. Oz. So we need to kind of prepare ourselves for all of that. But I do feel that something is transpiring over the course of the next, I want to say 2 to 3 weeks, could be a month, that is going to cause RFK Jr. to be pushed to the side because it feels like a big pharma situation says you're now taking away from our profits by wanting to implement this policy. So we're going to go a different way. And, there's going to be a lot of interesting stuff going on behind the scenes, but I definitely feel that we will be getting new leadership, if you want to call it that, with Health and Human Services. And I do feel that it is going to be Dr. Oz. So FYI and PS and all that stuff. Okay, finally, Todd Blanche has made our list again today. And so, of course, for those of you who don't know, he is the acting Attorney General of the country. He sits at the center of many allegations that the Justice Department is increasingly aligned with Trump's political objectives. Of course, he is always in there for the Epstein files and being a big fat cover-upper of the Epstein files in some pretty disgusting ways. But the thing that I wanted to talk about today with him is that it has come out that there was a legal malpractice suit, something along the lines of forgery at his last firm, his last law firm, before he decided to go and work for Trump, for Dear Leader. He was a partner at the law firm Cadwallader, Wickersham, and Taft, where he represented investment advisors Adam and Daniel Kaplan during an investigation by the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission. After that attorney-client relationship deteriorated, the Kaplans sued Blanche and the firm in 2023. So I just want to say there's no indication, there's nothing, there's no proof that he was fired from the firm for his behavior. But he was sued because he forged the brothers' signatures on an engagement letter that outlined legal fees. He promised to represent them at a substantially discounted rate, but later billed them more than $1.65 million. He mishandled or sabotaged, because this was part of the complainant's concerns, mishandled or sabotaged aspects of their defense during the SEC investigation. And he knowingly withheld parts of the client's legal files after ending the representation. These are allegations made in civil litigation. They've not been proven in court at this time, so it's important to say that. So this has been coming out, and people are concerned about this, obviously, because what we really want to know is, he's the acting attorney general. It's becoming very clear that he's going to become the attorney general. And I think I read on this a couple of weeks ago. I feel like he will become it, but there's going to be something that he won't be there for long, and something's going to take him out. Again, another scandal. Perhaps this is the scandal. So let's pull a card on that and see. Interesting, the Hierophant. So getting stuck in limiting beliefs, getting caught up in rituals and routines that are antiquated, too old. The past is coming up to bite him in the ass. And I really feel like this particular case that is coming out about him, I keep seeing like the Bar Association. So it might not be the public that comes after him. It may be the Bar Association, people getting at him through that you can't be an acting attorney general or an attorney general if you don't have license to practice law. And I feel like this is how people are going to be going after him. I'm seeing the number 3. So I feel like 3 weeks from now, there's going to be some kind of information that comes out about this. And I feel like even though he's going to be made the official attorney general, I feel like it's going to be very, very, very short-lived, because something's going to come out that's going to basically say it disqualifies him from doing that. So it's quite possible that as they're about to vote on whether or not he's going to, kind of move forward in this thing, there's going to be something that comes up that is going to be uncover-upable. And I want to say Dear Leader is going to be really pissed about this, because he still wants Todd Blanche. Just like Pam Bondi, Todd Blanche knows where all the bodies are buried, because he was Trump's personal lawyer for all of his felonies, all of the things that he's been, accused of and tried and convicted for. So he really wants Todd Blanche to stay in. And don't be surprised if Trump tries to pull some bullshit to be able to somehow manage to keep him in a, maybe like a shadow role where he's still going to be doing the work and there's going to be a different figurehead in that position. But there's definitely going to be a switch up here. And it's not that he gets fired from his regime. It's that I feel like it's connected to legal, the law association, the Bar Association, something along those lines. So that's our Todd Blanche. Okay, so of these 5 peeps, or just in general, who do I feel Who do I feel is actually going to maybe be the next to go based on all this information? It's a tough call this week because I feel like the three of them are very kind of like teetering on the edge of things. I would have to say to you, I feel like Kash Patel feels like he's kind of in the running, but I will say to you that RFK Jr., I see something happening where he's going to be pushed to the side. So pushed to the side and completely kicked out. I'm going to say we're on the fence. So let's just pull a card and see whether it's going to be Kash Patel or RFK Jr. between these two, if we can get a tiebreaker. Oh, interesting. Knight of Pentacles, Kash Patel. So Knight of Pentacles is the knight that does what you need him to do, but he lollygags. He takes his time. He's the last one to show up for the fight. He's in the fight, but he's the last one to show up for it. And he's slow going. He's slow moving. He likes to stop and smell the roses. This definitely feels very Kash Patel-y, because he's really useless as tits on a bull. He drops the ball all the time. He's there to be a sycophant, and he does his sycophantism really well. But he lollygags. He's in it for the party. He's in it for the fun. He's in it for the prestige. That's all he cares about. So the cards have spoken, peeps. Dear democracy, the cards have spoken. And it is Kash Patel all the way. All right, guys. So that is this week's episode of Dear Democracy. Keep smiling, because if we're not smiling, we're crying. And we need to keep our energies up, guys. Until we see you for another episode of Black Feather Code Tour, Divining a VIP Life. Sending you lots of love and support. We'll see you on the flip side, and transform well.